Hello everyone and welcome to Purple Rose Crafts. Today we're going to be talking about how to read a crochet pattern. So what I've done here is actually just jumped onto Pinterest and I found a cute little pattern for one that I liked, and what I've done is it turns out it's actually a great little pattern here from Bernat and Yarn Inspirations. So what I'll do is I'll link that in the description below. What we'll do is we will just go through how to break down this pattern. What we're making is actually it's called the crochet carry-all. So it's great for as a little bag to carry your project in it, which is perfect for a beginner crocheter. And so looking at the measurements here in the pattern, so we've got some abbreviations here at the top, and it just basically is talking about the different stitches you're going to be doing. See over here we've got an SD, which is a single crochet. We've got our half double crochet is written as HDC, our double crochet, which is DC, chains listed as CH, and then we've got repeat. So sometimes you'll have like a star in a line, and it will tell you to repeat from the star around until you get to the end, and then you jump back to the end of the description of the row. And you've got right side, you've got wrong side. Just a lot of information happening here at the top of the page, and a space, so you're going to go into a space between two stitches as opposed to into a stitch. And then just scrolling down here a little bit, we've got our gauge, so it's actually showing you 11 single crochets in 12 rows makes our 4-inch or 10 centimeter swatch. So sometimes if I'm doing a new pattern and I haven't practiced it before, I'm just trying out a new stitch, I will often make the swatch. It just helps me kind of get a sense for what the pattern's actually supposed to look like, and that will help me visualize it once I actually get into the project. So sometimes if I'm making a blanket, you don't want to crochet, say 200 stitches and then realize that you did it wrong and then have to rip it all out, or pull it back to the beginning row and start again. So sometimes it's worthwhile, even though it takes a little bit longer to get started. I will make that crochet swatch just to kind of give myself that sense of that I know what I'm doing when I actually get into a project. So all right, so what I will often do is start reading through the instructions. This pattern doesn't actually have any fancy stitches. So sometimes if you have a pattern with a fancy stitch, it will actually give you a description of the stitch as you go. So, or kind of in this top area before you get to the instructions or the actual pattern itself, there will be a breakdown of how to actually do the fancy stitch, like say a puff stitch, or say if you're doing a basket weave pattern, or you've never done a front post double crochet. Some of those words for beginners might not make any sense at this point, but that's okay. That's why if you do the swatch and you're just getting started, or you're just getting started with a new stitch, it sometimes makes sense. So you can actually read each word, go through it nice and slow, and then actually start the stitch on your own before you get into the big project. Okay, so let's go through the pattern for this one and see, just kind of walk through each row. So first thing here, we're saying chain 31. So basically the bag is going to be made from the bottom row here, and then you're going to make it in a circle and then work your way up the side of the bag this way. All right, so chaining 31, and then in our first round, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the second hook. So in this case, it's similar to the beginner crochet video, which I will link here. The beginner crochet video talks about how to do a single crochet from the beginning, starting with your chain row. So you're going to make the second chain and then do a single crochet in each stitch to the last chain. So you're going to do 1 single crochet all the way across, and then you're going to put 3 single crochets in the last one, and then that will get you a corner, and then you're going to work across the opposite side of the foundation chain which is just our chain row with 1 single crochet in each stitch to the end, and then 2 single crochets in the last one. And finally we join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet, giving us 62 stitches. So if you're not sure if you did it right, count your stitches. If you made a mistake, you can always pull it back now. It will definitely be easier to pull it back when you're at the end of the first row as opposed to, you know, say 10 rows in. Believe me, it's happened, and it's not fun. So, all right, second row. Okay, so we're doing a chain 1 to start the row. That gives us our height for a single crochet, 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 28. That likely will get you to the corner again where you did 3 last time. You're going to go into the second one, like is most likely. I haven't made this pattern, so I'm just going off of what I'm reading. Likely you're going to put the 3 single crochets into the center of the previous 3 single crochets from the previous row. All right, and then you're going to do 1 single crochet along the other side for another 28, and then 2 single crochets in the end, slip stitching to the top of the chain from the first row. Hopefully that's making sense. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below and I can definitely clarify. And if you have any questions about the pattern, I will link it below as well. And all right, so the third round is approximately the same. You're going to do single crochets into 31 stitches. That's probably going to put you exactly right in the middle of that 3 single crochets again from the second row, and you're going to continue around. It's telling you at the end of round 3 to place a marker so that it indicates where the end of the row is. You can do this with several different options. You can actually use the place marker with like a piece of like a plastic little stitch marker. You can place that in that space. Sometimes I will also just stick a piece of yarn, like an end that I've cut off of a previous project, or just snip a little bit off of your outside of your ball, and just put it through that stitch, and then just leave it there as you crochet along, so you know where the end of the row is. At this point, there is a note in the pattern. It's telling you to work in spirals and not to join at the end of the round. Oops, sorry, we keep jumping down here. So it's telling you just to keep moving the marker at the end of each row, so you can tell where you're at as far as the end of the row. So for the next round, it's saying just single crochet in each row. And then you're going to continue working this round until, or this like just 1 single crochet in the row until you get 2 inches from the bottom of the initial row, or 5 centimeters. And then you're going to start a couple more increased rounds. So doing 1 single crochet in 17 stitches, 2 single crochets. So it's telling you here that you want to do 2, this one here, that you want to do 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So you're going to do, that's an increase. So you're going to make more stitches on your row. 1 single crochet in each of the next 18, and then 2 single crochets in this next single crochet, and then you're going to repeat that around until you have till the end of the row. That gives you 78, and then we're going to move down to the next page, and for the next 5 rounds you just do straight 1 single crochets. And then it's going to tell you again to do an increase round, so the same way that you did the previous increase round, and 5 rounds without it, and then another increase round. It's saying to fasten off your yarn. So when you finish the end of this last row here, when your bag measures 11 inches or 28 centimeters long, you're going to fasten your work off. So basically you're going to snip your yarn, pull it through and out of the so it's not a loop, so you're going to pull the yarn all the way through so it makes like a little bit of a knot, and you have just a tail, no longer a loop at the end of your work. So at this point you're probably going to weave in that end, but we can save that for the very end of the work if that's the way that you like to do it. Then we're going to lay it flat, and then we're going to put a marker on the first single crochet at the right side. So along the right hand side of the work, that should be where your markers have been placed all along. Basically this double star here to this double star here is a repeat. This double star here is a repeat. So you're going to continue repeating this first to fifth row for the first shape side, and then you're going to do the exact same way when you get to the second side. So the first shape side looks like it is here where we're kind of going up in the center. Here it's telling us to do single crochets across, chaining one single crochet, and then slip stitch and into each of the next 22 stitches. Okay, so you're gonna have a total of 23 for that little section. So at the end of the first row, it's saying to fasten off and not to turn your work. So you're not going to continue working back and forth across the rows the same way you would if you were making like a scarf or a dishcloth or anything like that. You're just going to fasten off your work, pull it back through like we did for the first row, and then go back to the beginning of the row and single crochet across again. Okay, so in this case, we're going to insert our yarn with a slip stitch into the second single crochet, because it's saying skip the first one, and then chain one, and then do 20 single crochets, and then fasten off again, same as we did in the previous row. Okay, that's row 2 in this section up here. And then row 3 is going to be very similar again. Skip the first one, join the yarn, and again we're back over here on the right hand side working across this way, and single crochets across into the next 18 stitches, and then again fasten off and do not turn your work. Okay, fourth row is going to be basically exactly the same with a couple of less stitches than the previous row, and the fifth row again finishing with 15 single crochets to end the row. Okay, so now when we're getting to the handles, each row from this little section here has been fastened off at the end, so you're going to have some tails to work in, but that's okay. Do the exact same thing on the opposite side of the bag, and then we're going to make our handles. So join our yarn with a slip stitch to the first single crochet with the marker over here on the side where we inserted our marker, or where we had our marker left from before. Chain one single crochet into the same space and each of the next 9 single crochets. So 9 single crochets in the next 9 stitches, working upwards. So we're going to follow the bag up the side of our worked shaped side that we did just in the last section, and then we're going to chain 30 to make our handle. So now we're adding in an extra 30 chains here. That's going to give us the hole that we need in the center of the work. And then you're going to skip the top section here and join up again here at this spot here where my mouse is showing, and work downwards across here, single crocheting into each row along all the way around, and then continue working around the back side or the opposite side and up the side, chain the 30 again, attach at the side, and continue as you are going down and around that work side. That's probably the hardest row so far. So just make sure you're paying attention and single crocheting into each of the rows as you move up the row and then across the chain. Skip that section and then down the other side. And the second round is just single crocheting into each of the single crochets around and each chain. So in this case, you're going to do single crochets into each chain and then chain one at the beginning of the row, of course. Okay. And then you're going to slip stitch to the first single crochet or the first chain from the beginning of the row. Third to sixth rounds, basically, you're going to be finishing off. So single crocheting in each single crochet around, join with a slip stitch to the last one, and then fasten off at the end of the 6th round. And that is all we have. So at the top of the page, it had actually told us we'd be doing, up here it was saying double crochets and half double crochets. but we didn't actually end up using any of those. This is actually a really cute little single crochet bag. Now, once you've actually made one of these, I'd love to see your examples of this cute little bag, and tag me on Instagram if you post any pictures of your work. It's at purple.rose.crafts, and I will link that in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. The next video we're going to be doing is going to be how to read a knit pattern. So again, very similar, just different stitches, and that'll get you through the basics of reading patterns and what you're looking for in your patterns. And if you make any of the works, or you download our pattern from our blog, and you make any of the things that we've talked about on this channel or on our blog, go ahead and tag us in your posts on Instagram. I'd love to see what you guys are creating. There's so many beautiful things that you can make, and in the comments below, let me know what else you'd like to see me teach. So is there anything that you're looking for a pattern on, or anything that you're looking to learn how to do a specific stitch? Are you looking to learn how to do crochet cables or knit cables, because those are going to be coming up soon as well. And I'd love to do a crochet blanket, maybe in a crochet along, so we can do lots of different kinds of stitches in a block, and then we can talk about, you know, sewing them together and just making a really beautiful blanket. So let me know what you're looking to see, and we'll see you next time in the next video. Thanks so much.